So, Bayern Munich have sacked Julian Nagelsmann. This was a shock. I was shocked when I woke up this morning and I read that news because I think it's a bad decision. But let's go into why Bayern Munich sacked Nagelsmann. What are my thoughts on it? Whether it's the right decision or the wrong decision. And first off, let's look at why Bayern sacked Nagelsmann. So, there's always been the feeling that Nagelsmann is not quite right for Bayern, at least in my opinion. And in fact, I don't even like Nagelsmann that much, but the reason I'm upset about this decision is the timing. Nagelsmann was just getting on good footing, and it just seems way too rushed. It seems such a panic move. And all to get Thomas Tuchel, a Tuchel who 100% chance will not see out his contract because he always gets sacked within 2 years. Yes, maybe we'll have initial success, but I don't think the long-term possibilities are great. But anyway, why Bayern sacked Nagelsmann? As I said, there's always been a feeling that he's not quite right for the club. And maybe if we look back at it now, seeing like the tactics sheet got leaked a week or two ago before one of the games, it shows there might be dressing room problems with Nagelsmann. And even sacking of Neuer's goalkeeper coach, Tony Tapilovic, Neuer is probably upset. The club captain, Thomas Muller, been benched a few times in recent weeks. We know what power he has at the club. So maybe the players did contribute to the sacking. They weren't supposedly in touch with all of Nagelsmann's tactics, and it makes sense because in the Bundesliga, we are 1 point behind Borussia Dortmund. We've dropped 10 points in just 2023. And the tactics are lacking because we don't have control over games. We're reliant on a 34-year-old Choupo-Moting. But is that Nagelsmann's fault or the squad planning fault from the board? I think it might be from the board in the summer. In the summer, I said that it was crucial that we got a striker, but we didn't. I said that Lewandowski leaving was actually still not good for us, and it wasn't. I said Sadio Mane wasn't great for us, and he wasn't because he doesn't fit the system. He's not a natural number 9. So maybe some blame should go on the hypocritical board for not backing Nagelsmann appropriately and then hanging him out to dry once the results don't go our way. But it is true that in the Bundesliga we didn't get the results that were needed. We were dropping behind Dortmund. But all that said, that's what I'm saying about the timing of this. Bayern shouldn't have sacked Nagelsmann. Nagelsmann still has that game versus Dortmund, where if we won, we would be back to first in the table. We're unbeaten. We won all 8 games in the Champions League with 7 clean sheets. But then going back to that point about why Bayern sacked him, it was never totally convincing. Yes, Nagelsmann fans point out that the Champions League results, we got results in them, but they were never really convincing. The games versus Barcelona, for example, they dominated us in those games. First leg versus PSG, yes, we won, but it was actually quite a shocking performance. Poor tactics, leaving Thomas Muller out. See, that type of player, leaving top players out in the dressing room who carry a lot of sway, might have cost Nagelsmann. Also, as I said, he might have been losing the dressing room, and it's been reported that he also had rifts with the board. Maybe he was unhappy that the board didn't get a striker in the summer. Of course, he could never say it. Maybe he was unhappy about other things, and we saw that this might have been something building for a long time from the Bayern board also, because Brazo, after the match versus Leverkusen, was irate. He was saying that this is not how Bayern Munich should play, and he was very visibly upset when he was giving his interviews, which showed that maybe this has been a problem lingering for a while, and that was the last straw. But now, going back to the board, why sack Nagelsmann now? Why not give him a chance versus Dortmund, this is the crunch time of the season. Yes, Tuchel might come in and do well, but this was the time where Nagelsmann really would show his worth, see if we could progress past City in the Champions League. And for all of Nagelsmann's faults against good teams like a Barcelona or Inter Milan or a PSG or a City, I think Nagelsmann would do well. He controls games. He would be able to counter-attack. He would be able to adapt his tactics to the opponent. And I'm not sure if we'll see that work with Tuchel, who's going to come in, but it just doesn't make any sense. Why do it also 5 days after the Leverkusen match has already happened? Why not do it immediately? It shows that there was different opinions, different sides of view from the board. Just a day after the Leverkusen match, Herbert Heiner, the president, was saying that Nagelsmann should that we're looking forward to him. He's a great coach. We showed his qualities versus PSG. He still has 3.5 years on his contract left. So this shows that it was more of a panic decision. They weren't really thinking about it. They didn't think about it right after the game, but only in the past few days. And then they sack Nagelsmann in what's coming to be our most crucial phase of the season. So even though I don't think Nagelsmann was the greatest, I think he should have stayed, and he definitely shouldn't have been dismissed in this way. But it also goes back to even Hansi Flick's time at the club. Hansi Flick forced his way out because he saw not eye to eye with the board. Maybe the board is the problem right now. They are having disagreements with the managers, and maybe it is the board's fault for not supporting Nagelsmann well enough, for not supporting Hansi Flick back when Hansi Flick was in charge. Maybe this is a sign of a deeper problem, and also the panic thinking to, yes, Tuchel's a good manager, but he never lasts more than 2 seasons anywhere. So it seems just like the panic button has been completely pushed, and that we are not going to, yes, Tuchel, we might have initial success. Hopefully we win the Champions League, I hope. But I'm not that hopeful, and it just seems like a really rash decision from the Bayern board. I'm not happy about it, simply. But yeah, I'm lost for words, because it is so perplexing why they would sack Nagelsmann in this way also. And I think the fact that Nagelsmann hasn't even heard it from the club yet, it's not been officially announced as of the video recording, is really out with the Bayern spirit, because he just read about it in the media. What type of exit is that for Nagelsmann? This type of thing would not happen under the previous ownership, the previous leadership of Bayern Munich. The current leadership has had many big scandals, big problems faced their way. Hansi Flick leaving, Lewandowski's exit, Nagelsmann's exit, all on bitter terms now, consistently, in Alaba leaving. It's a pattern which is starting to emerge here, and I think that the board must take much of the blame for this. Yes, Nagelsmann's tactics weren't the greatest in my opinion, but in the CL they did the job. We're coming up to the crunch time of the season. At least give him a chance in these matches. He was supposed to be a 5-year hire. This was the marquee hire, 25 mil. Of his contract, plus he has a high wage, so we'll probably be paying 50 million for Nagelsmann in the whole grand scheme of things. This will have to pay out much of his contract probably in reimbursement. It just doesn't make any sense why they would always be saying, oh, this is the Nagelsmann project, and back him, and then they cut him loose so quickly, just like this, when in fact he's not doing a bad job at all. He's only 1 point behind Dortmund. We're doing so well in the Champions League, and we still have a chance to win all the season goals. It just doesn't make any sense. It's really, it seems so panicky from Bayern. And also, it's just a long line in the mistakes the Bayern board have made in recent times. Mistakes in player recruitment. Yes, we were all talking about how good the summer was, but I knew it wasn't actually a great summer, because we didn't have a striker. Sadio Mane wouldn't really fit, and he's lost that pace and explosiveness. It's true to say. It just doesn't make any sense at all why Nagelsmann would be sacked. I was truly shocked when reading it, because we've heard nothing about it. But maybe going back, as I said, maybe players disagreed with him, maybe he had disagreements with the board, but there must be something else at play here, because the results themselves, yes, it's not amazing, but the Champions League is the big fish, and in the Bundesliga we'll still have great chances to win, regardless if Nagelsmann stayed or he didn't stay. So there must be something else that happened. There must be a big disagreement Nagelsmann had, or a big player revolt led by Sadio Mane or someone, or players who are unhappy that they weren't playing. There must be a reason why the Bayern board backed Nagelsmann so publicly versus in the Neuer Tapalov situation, backed him in the transfer market multiple times, even signing Konrad Leimer, his former players, for example. I'm really backing him in this respect, backing him in the media, and then suddenly they just cut it. There must be something. So I guess we'll see in recent times. What are your thoughts on Bayern sacking Nagelsmann? But just to me, it does not make any sense at all. Let me know in the comments. But I just can't quite fathom it. It's just so unbelievable because Nagelsmann, it just makes no sense. He's an up-and-coming manager. He's only 34, 35. He's only 1 year older than Thomas Muller. I think he's younger than Manuel Neuer. It just makes no sense. There must have been something big which has happened because the results, while not great, have been solid. And in the Champions League, I was starting to finally believe in Nagelsmann because we had that great second leg versus PSG. We nullified PSG over the two legs, to be fair, even though our attack in the first leg wasn't that great. And this 3-1-4-1-1 formation with Muller at the heart of it, Musiala on the side, it seemed to be working. So I just simply don't understand what the thought process is. They say thought process is so Tuchel doesn't move to Real Madrid or something. But there will always be managers available for Bayern. And Tuchel is not like he's a huge upgrade over Nagelsmann. Yes, maybe in the short term he'll be good, but he'll fall out with this Bayern board in no time. In no time, just like he's fallen out with the management at every other club he's been at, Mainz, Dortmund, PSG, Chelsea. It's a pattern for Tuchel to fall out with the owners of his clubs, and it's a pattern for Bayern's recent board to be making huge mistakes like this. So I think it's a huge mistake. We'll back Tuchel now. It'll be interesting to see what his tactics are, but I'm not happy about this.